speaking for the entire county, serving Dillon, Latta, and Lakeview by covering our local news and upcoming events. Please join us now for Chamber Moments.
Hello, welcome to Chamber Moments. I'm Johnny Lors. Today I have as my guest Don Lors, the local meteorologist. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing great. It's the month of February, and let's talk about our weather. Are we going to have an early spring, or are we going to have a little bit more winter? You know, what's going on?
Well, we're definitely having a little bit more winter because it is early February, but the prognostications from the groundhogs are kind of split. Some groundhogs saying we're going to have early spring, and some are saying 6 more weeks of winter. But as far as the computer guidance and things we get from for example, the National Climatic Center of looking ahead a month or 2 or 3, that is forecasting temperatures to start out cool for the early parts of February, below normal, and then build up to above normal by the end of the month, averaging that to about normal for the month of February. And beyond that, probably averaging above normal as we go into March and April. That's on average. It's not saying there won't be any cold days in March, so don't read that into the picture. It's not going to be consistently warm because the nature of the weather is to go up and down, up and down. But if you average it out, February should be about normal after a cold start, and then probably above normal as we go through March and April, temperature-wise. Rainfall-wise, and this might be great news, a little below normal is the forecast for the 3 months combined. And we could use that because the ground is so wet. I'm sure if you drive around, you see so many of the rain ditches, I call them, but the runoff ditches along the side of the road, a lot of them have been sitting with water in them for days and days and weeks. And that's because the water levels in the soil is so high and the soil is so wet that water just sits there. So we need that ground to dry out a little bit for example, farmers to get in the field this spring. And a little below normal for a few weeks would be good.
Okay. Have you kind of looked and see if we might have just maybe a little bit of snow or anything like that?
We keep getting teased by that, by having an early cold spell in the early parts of February. Who knows? We may work in a snowy event there. So it's not off the table by any means yet. As we go into March and April, of course, the chance of that happening begins to really go down. But every once in a while, we've had a late season snow event in the Carolinas. We frequently have had a late season short cold snap. That's what the fruit farmers, especially the peach farmers, always worry about, is getting things warmed up and blossomed, and then you have a 1 night or 2 night freeze, and you ruin the peaches. So those are the kind of things we watch for as we go on through the early parts of spring and the late parts of winter. That battle between the 2 seasons has its peaks and valleys, and growing seasons and growing interest, agricultural interest, where you have to pay attention to that.
And then pretty soon we'll have to start talking about hurricane season.
Yes. After 2020 and all those records, I don't know if people want to look at that or not, but we do have to consider hurricane season. It starts, of course, in the month of June 1st through November 30th. We've had storms before June 1st, especially in recent years. So that's something we'll have to turn our attention to when the time comes. No preseason forecast after hurricane season yet.
Okay. Are you available for speaking to groups? And I know with COVID and the pandemic and stuff going on like that now, that's kind of, people are just kind of shying away, but are you available when things open up?
I am. Less groups have been having their meetings, and if they are, they've been, some by phone or and video. But yes, absolutely. I enjoy talking about hospice and weather, so if someone wants me to come talk on severe weather or hurricanes or winter storms, whatever it may be, I'd be happy to.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm Johnny Lors with Chamber Moments. Hello, welcome to Chamber Moments. I'm Johnny Lors. Today I have as my guest Mr. Robert Nance. And Mr. Robert has a business here in Dillon County that I am super excited about. Let's tell our viewers in both Dillon and Marion counties what type of business you have. I'm going to give them a hint. It's called Ride and Shine. So tell me a little bit about it.
Yes, my name is Robert Nance, and I'm the proud owner of Ride and Shine Mobile Car Wash. And what that means is that we comes to you. You give us a call, we set up an appointment, and we'll come to you at that agreed time, and we would clean your car. There's nothing like having a clean car. We would come out, we would vacuum the inside, we would clean all the vents, and especially those cup holders. You know how, going to the fast food places, the cup holders get all sticky inside. So we clean the cup holders. And then we also clean the outside. We clean the tires. We shine the tires, make them look like brand new. We also clean the wheel wells if you live on some sort of a dirt road where the mud gets all underneath the wheel well. So we're looking forward to growing this business, and the only way it can grow is by you giving us a call, Ride and
That's
Shine
exactly.
Mobile Car Wash.
Well, you have a telephone number.
Yes, the telephone number is 843-564-8760.
Now, if I wanted to have my car washed, I would tell you a little bit about it first, right?
Yes.
And then what would you ask me? What are some of the questions I need to know, like the model of my car, how big it is, and things like that?
Mainly, we would just need to know the name of your car, whether or not it's a SUV or a truck or something of that nature. And not only that, but we need to know the distance. We usually travel within a 25-mile radius of the town of Lakeview, South Carolina. Anything beyond that, there's a 43 cents per mile beyond 25 miles. But the starting price for just a standard car is $45. And like I say, we clean the inside, outside. And the thing about the Ride and Shine Mobile Car Wash is that when we come to you, we don't need anything from you. We have our own electric, we have the generator, we have the water, we have all the cleaning supplies, everything that we need to make your car look good.
Okay. What if I ever wanted it waxed or anything like that? Is that something we can negotiate, or is that going to be a service you might add later on?
Well, at this time, that's a service that will be added later on. Yeah.
Okay. And I think you told me earlier you were bonded.
Yes.
And that's very important. And
Yeah.
then we were talking about the fees. Do you accept debit or check, or basically do you deal with cash?
We just deal with cash only at this time.
Okay.
And the starting price for just a standard car is $45. And then the price goes up from there.
Okay. About how long does it usually take when you come? It depends on the shape of the car, I guess.
Well, it depends on the shape of the car that plays a part, but normally we can clean your car within 2 hours. And that's giving it a real good cleaning inside out.
Okay. Now, if I have allergies and I'm allergic to certain chemicals and stuff like that, and I don't want smells, do you have the chemicals that don't leave a lingering smell or anything like that in your car?
Well, basically, we only use 2 types of fragrance. We use Febreze, and then we use McGuire, it's called New Car Smell. Other than that, we don't use anything else in your car to freshen the car up.
Now, if I didn't want Febreze or the other car, I could request not having that, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. Let's give our viewers the number again and how they reach you. And it's a little cold today. The temperature has to be a little warmer for you to come out and work on someone's, wash their car and everything like that.
Well, the temperature has to be at least 60 degrees or higher before we would actually come out and wash your car for you.
It makes good sense. Yeah.
And that phone number again is 843-564-8760. Ride and Shine Mobile Car Wash.
Thank you, sir. I'm Johnny Lures with Chamber Moments. Hello, welcome to Chamber Moments. I'm Johnny Lures. Today I have as my guest James Bryant, and James is known throughout our community for many things: a pastor, a writer, a wonderful car show person that we have at our festivals, but today he's here to talk about his new book. Now, you've written a total of how many books?
This would be my 4th effort.
4th one, okay, and our title is?
Think of This.
Think of This. Okay, what led you to that title?
Well, that's a good question. If I give credit where credit's really due, it probably goes back to Robert Earl Johnson. Having been written so many proverbs over years, he pointed out to me one time, "Give you something to think about." And I guess that's kind of probably where it really came from.
Well, talking about writing so many proverbs and stuff over so many years, when did you first start writing and recording the proverbs? When did you start doing that?
Johnny, it probably dates back to the mid-90s, on the job working. a lot of nights. I had a thought on my children and my kids, and as we've mentioned maybe in times past, the person of whom I am, I'm not an optimist, I'm not a pessimist, I'm just a realist. And that's what I wanted to be to my children. I wanted to be truth. And so many times at night I'd write down little idioms and little notes, and I actually put them up, hoping that one day maybe my kids would pick it up and see something that their dad had written, a truth, and try and help them.
Well, how did you come up with the 31 subjects or topics for this book?
Well, to continue on your first question, I'd like to say that the book kind of originated from a love for the book of Proverbs. I'm a Proverbs kind of guy. And in fact, if you look at today's reading, which is February the 2nd, in the 2nd chapter, you would find that King Solomon had started writings to his son. In fact, the first 2 words he says, "my son." So Solomon had his children in mind when he was writing the book of Proverbs, and he was wanting to help them and thinking about them and giving them truths of life. And so that's where my book kind of originated from, in the love of Proverbs. But most specifically on the 31 particular subjects, again, I reflect back to the book of Proverbs. I noted that there were 31 chapters in the book of Proverbs. At the most, there's not 32, there's not 30, but there's 30. And I thought, well, if God could use the book of Proverbs and put 31 particular subjects in there for us to learn from, I thought, well, maybe he could use 31 topics in this book, and that those 31 topics would be most helpful to the people that read them. So that's where 31 comes from.
Okay, all right. Let's talk a little about this particular book. Who is it dedicated to?
This book particular dedicated to little Jack, my grandson, my first grandson. He came along pretty well at a time in my life when I really needed him. You know, you and I, we and our community, family and friends, we lost a good friend back in 2015, and is a good buddy of mine, and it really took something out of me. And God in His all-knowing, He somehow or another brought along something to help fill that void in my life, and little Jack just brought back that smile, and you can see today I'm grinning just thinking about him. So yeah, I dedicated this book to him.
Okay. Now, where can we purchase the book?
Sure. The book is available locally here at Southern Fried Restaurant and Catering. Also down here at Herald Office Solutions, you can buy them locally. And certainly you can find them on the web at Barnes & Nobles, Books A Million, any other of those fine retail stores. But I'd like to say with the hardback and softbook editions that you can find locally, there's something special about the ebook as well. Don't rule it out. We also offer this book in ebook at only $9.99, and you may be caught somewhere away from home where you can't get a hold of the book, but you can go to your cell phone, as everything's on there now, and pull up right on your phone, as I did last night. You can be facing a certain situation in your life, and I believe there's 31 subjects. Somewhere in there you'll find it. Well, last night I needed an answer for myself. So I simply grabbed my phone, opened it up, went to my ebook on Nook, I think it is, and opened up, found me a subject that was relative to what I needed, and I got my answer. So don't rule that ebook out. It's a pretty sweet deal as well.
Okay. Now, you know me, and I like signed books. Okay, I think I have a couple of your signed books and stuff like this. If I purchase this book, will you sign it for me?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We can get that done. Hopefully in the near future we'll be announcing a book signing day.
That's what I was going for.
Yes.
Could we have a book signing day?
Yes.
And any of your other books, if you still have any of those available, have them signed, because a lot of times you like to give a book to someone and, you know, think of this or some of your other ones, and then you had that person in mind and you'd like it written, you know, a little dedication to that person and signed by you. To me, that just adds that extra little special touch.
Absolutely.
So let us know when the signing date will be, and we'll bring you back before then. We'll let people know, and if you have to have 2 or 3 of them, the chamber is always available.
Fantastic. Thank you, Johnny.
Thank you. I'm Johnny Lourdes with Chamber Moments. Hello, welcome to Chamber Moments. I'm Johnny Lors. Today I have as my guest Don Lors, and I think we're going to talk about hospice today. You have a new name, and let's talk about it.
Sure thing. On the new name front, Agape Care South Carolina is the hospice name now for folks that need hospice services in Dillon County or Marion County. Back during the early parts of 2020, Hospice Care of South Carolina bought Agape Hospice, and during much of the year of 2020, we worked on bringing both companies together under one new umbrella, one new name. And starting in the fall, September and October, we began working under the name Agape Care South Carolina. So we took Hospice Care of South Carolina and Agape Hospice and combined those two names. And that's how it worked out. Now, locally, for the Dillon Marion team, it really hasn't had any big changes in terms of people, because the same exact people that were here with Hospice Care of South Carolina in that office, the one I work in, are still all there, and that same crew is helping people now in both counties under the name Agape Care.
Okay, with the joining of the two, were there any added benefits for the two joining?
Absolutely. We had two roughly the same size companies coming together, so it pooled our resources into one organization, which gives us a better structure to work from for giving people services they need. One thing I've noticed is that when a particular need comes up that was kind of hard to deal with in the past, it's a little bit easier now because we have the added resources. Another thing it's done is giving us some capability for inpatient hospice. We don't have a hospice house right here in the local part of the PD, but we do have 4 hospice houses scattered across the state, which some families have used. And I think with that being part of the company structure now, maybe someday in the future we will have one locally as well.
Okay. With everything going on with COVID, are you able to meet with families and see the families? And what's the process now that you have to go through?
The process is that all our clinical team have training in COVID protocol to keep themselves safe and to keep the patient and their families safe. And we are doing some visits by phone for services that can be provided by phone. For example, some of the social worker services are less in person and more in phone. But the hands-on care that has to be hands-on is going on, but just with proper protocol for safety. So the aides are still able to operate and provide their personal care of bathing and things like that. The nurses are going into the homes and providing those services. And it's really been a blessing to be able to serve those families, because they've had restrictions put on them in other environments where they couldn't have any visitors, couldn't have any contact even with the immediate family. And with hospice services, given the proper protection with clothing and protocol, we can allow the family to have some contact with the patient. So it's been really a blessing in that regard for people to have that end of life situation going on where they do have some interaction.
And now, would they still go through their doctor or through their church, or how do they still reach out?
Well, the way that we get patients into our services is probably about 50-50. About half the time it comes from the family or from the patient calling to say, we have someone that needs your help. It might be my mom needs your help, or my dad, or my sister, or my brother. Other times it's a doctor calling us and saying, we have a patient that we think needs your help, and then my job is to bring both sides together. If it starts from the family side, I'll reach out to the doctor. If it starts from the doctor's side, I'll reach out to the family, bring them together, and if it seems like it's a good idea, once everyone's on the same page, go forward and get those services started. Hospice services are designed for folks that have an illness that can no longer be cured, but we can't control symptoms, so we can't control pain, we can't control day-to-day quality of life. This is National Heart Month, and the end-stage heart patients are a great example of how we can improve someone's day-to-day quality of life by having the extra care put in that home with hospice services. There's actually been studies done that someone with congestive heart failure with a terminal diagnosis of 6 months on hospice services, they statistically add about 81 days to their lifespan. People think hospice, they think death, but in reality, you're adding some time to your expected longevity in many cases, because you're getting the nursing visits, you're having less trips back and forth to the ER, We're catching things early instead of waiting until it's a crisis and you're in the ER. And your day-to-day quality of life being higher is much less stressful than having peaks and valleys, crisis after crisis. So it's a great system of care for someone that has an illness that really can't be cured, but we can focus on day-to-day quality of life and trying to keep that patient as active as possible, as comfortable as possible, out of the hospital, out of the doctor's offices, and that makes them in this environment safer as well because of all the virus and thing going on.
But if they still need to see their doctor or physician, they're able to do that?
Yes, we don't say they can't see their doctor,
Right.
or in certain cases, they know that the hospital is the only option. But we try to treat that patient at home. We try to keep that patient at home and do all their care in the home. And for a lot of families, that's really a blessing because a lot of the patients that are going back and forth to the doctor or to the hospital, it's a stress and a struggle on them just to get there. And by having the care delivered in the home, we're able to keep that stress down, keep the stress of trying to get to that health facility out of the picture. We do have nurse practitioners that go into the home as well, so if they need physician level services, we can even provide them.
Okay, and you still have contact with the doctors or the physicians?
Absolutely. The attending doctor, we have many doctors that are local doctors that have been seeing those patients for years and years and years. They continue to be part of the picture. They're writing the orders and they're involved in their care. And our nurses are more or less eyes and ears for that doctor. So the doctor can tweak and adjust their care based on what our nurses are seeing instead of that patient constantly going back and forth to the office.
If a referral is made like today, how fast do you move on that referral?
Oh, we move on it right away. I'll be in touch with the doctor or the family, depending where it starts from, immediately. We try to get our patients admitted that same day, and if not the same day, then within 24 hours. There's no reason that can't be done so long as we have access to the doctor and the medical records and are able to move forward.
Some may feel that there's just not enough time left to involve hospice. Give us some feedback on that.
You're talking about a very end of life.
Right.
It's still a huge help to a family to be there at that time. We've had some patients recently that were very end of life, and we've helped them for maybe 1 day or 2 days. Even in that time frame, we can still lift some of the weight off that family's shoulder. What we kind of do in that situation is allow the family to be family, and not so much the caregiver, not the nurse and the doctor, but the son or the daughter or the brother or the sister, and focus on being the family member and let some of that clinical stuff come to us. And that really has been a blessing for the families we've helped. Also, with hospice services, the surviving family is going to have bereavement services for 13 months after. So we'll be there to get them through that next year and help them face some of the grief and face some of the recovery that they'll have just emotionally.
How would they contact you?
My cell number is 843-506-2067, so they can always reach out to me by cell. Our website is hospicecare.net. They can reach us that way. Or our offices are in Dillon on Harrison Street, the same shopping center building as Dillon Community Pharmacy. So right there on Harrison Street, between 301 and the post office, kind of on Harrison Street.
Okay, thank you, Don.
You're welcome.
I'm Johnny Lures with Chamber Moments.